So today we are going to study about union legislature. We see India is a large country. It is the seventh largest country with such a huge population. So it is not possible for one single government to manage the affairs and the administration of the entire country. For this purpose, India has been divided into smaller states and union territories. At present, India has 28 states and 8 union territories. Realizing that it is not possible for the entire country to be run by a single government, the constitution provided for the government to be divided into two levels. There is a state government and there is a center or the union government. The union or the central government, it will manage the affairs at the national level, the administration of the entire country overall, and the state government looks after the affairs management and the administration at the state level. So broadly, the government of India functions at two levels: the central government we have, and we have the state government. Now, for the proper functioning of the government, it broadly has three organs. The government at the center level also has these three organs, and the government at the state level also has these three organs for proper administration. It has legislature, executive, and judiciary. What is legislature? There's a law making body. There's a law making body at the center level also, and there's a legislature at the state level also. There is an executive whose task is to implement all the laws which have been made by the legislature, to implement or to execute those laws. There is an executive body. It is again present at the state level also and at the center level also. And then there is a judiciary which interprets the laws made by the legislature, which ensures that these laws are being properly implemented by the executive, that justice is being done to all. So we have these three organs of the government at the state level also and at the center level also for the proper smooth functioning of the government. Today in this chapter we will be studying about the legislature, the law making body at the center level also and at the state level. We will be only talking about the legislature in this chapter. So we see that the legislature is the law making body whose task is to make laws. At the center level, the legislature, it comprises of a parliament. There is a union parliament at the center level which has two houses, Lok Sabha and the Rajya Sabha. The Lok Sabha is also known as the House of the People, and the Rajya Sabha is also known as the Council of States. So the union legislature, it is the union parliament, it basically has two houses. You must have heard before also these terms, the Lok Sabha and the Rajya Sabha. At the state level, the state legislature also has two houses, Vidhan Sabha and the Vidhan Parishad. Vidhan Sabha is also known as the state legislative assembly, and the Vidhan Parishad is known as the legislative council. Now, we know that there is a legislature at the center level and there is a legislature lawmaking body at the state level. They are supposed to make laws. Now, who decides what laws are going to be made by the union legislature and what laws are going to be made by the state legislature? So, to avoid this confusion, the constitution had divided power in three lists: the union list, the state list, and the concurrent list. It will mention all the topics or the subjects on which the union legislature will be making laws, and it will clearly mention the topics or the subjects on which the state legislature will be making laws. So there is no confusion regarding who is supposed to make laws on what. First is the union list. The union list has all the subjects which are of national importance. So all the subjects or the topics which are written in the union list, on that the laws will be made only by the union legislature or the union parliament. The state legislature cannot make laws on the subjects which are given in the union list. Only the union legislature will make laws on the subjects given in the union list. Now these subjects are of national importance. Only union can make laws on it, and these subjects includes like defense, currency, finance, banking, foreign affairs, all these important matters of national importance, only the union legislature can make laws on it. State legislature cannot make laws on the subjects given in the union list. Then there is a state list in which the laws will be made by the state legislature. These has subjects which are of local or the state level importance. So we see that union government doesn't, it's the state legislature which will make laws on these subjects which are given in the state list. Subjects like police, the trade and the commerce, the agriculture of that particular state. On all these subjects, the laws are made by the state legislature. Then there is this third list, concurrent list, on which there are subjects which could be of importance to the center also and to the state also. So in that case, both the center and the state can frame laws. So concurrent list has those subjects on which the laws can be made by the center also and by the state also. But what happens in case there is a conflict? A law is made by the center and the state says, okay, we do not agree with this law, we have a different law. So what happens in case there is a conflict of law? In that case, the union law prevails. The union government is more powerful than the state government. So union legislature gets an upper hand, and it is the union law which will prevail, and the state law will not be taken into consideration in case of a conflict. What are such subjects which fall in the concurrent list? Education, forest, trade, union, marriage laws, adoption, succession. All these topics, they come under the category on this concurrent list, which can be dealt with by the union government also and by the state government also. So now I hope this much is clear to you, that the legislature is the law making body which is present at the state level also and at the central level also. Now we'll be talking about the union legislature. First we'll be talking about the union legislature, then we will talk in detail about the state legislature. So we see that the union legislature, union law making body, or the union parliament, it is bicameral. There's bicameral, bicameral, bicameral. Why bicameral? Because it comprises of two houses. The union parliament comprises of two houses, the Lok Sabha and the Rajya Sabha. So we'll be talking about the union legislature, the union parliament, which comprises of two houses, Lok Sabha and the Rajya Sabha. Let us see. The Parliament of India comprises of two houses, the Lok Sabha and the Rajya Sabha. The Lok Sabha is also known as the House of the People, and the Rajya Sabha is also known as the Council of States. Remember that. Which is the House of the People? The Lok Sabha. Which is the what is the other name for the Rajya Sabha? Council of States. Also, Lok Sabha is known as the lower house, and Rajya Sabha is known as the upper house. We see that the Lok Sabha, it can have maximum of 552 members. Maximum number of seats that Lok Sabha can have is 552. At present, the Lok Sabha has only 545 members, but it can have up to 552. That is the maximum strength. While Rajya Sabha can have a maximum of 250 members. Now, how are these members comprised of? How are they elected? How do they come to become a part of the Lok Sabha? Let us see. In this 552 members, we see two members, they are nominated by the president, which come from the Anglo-Indian community, to ensure that Anglo-Indian community also finds representation in the parliament, in the Lok Sabha. The constitution says that two members will be nominated by the president. Now, certain words are important. Nominated. These are the nominated members. Who nominates them? The president. From where do they come? From the Anglo-Indian committee. So the two members are the nominated. Remaining in the 552, of the remaining 515 members, we see 20 come from the union territories. They are elected, and 20 will be coming from the union territories. And the remaining 530, they will be coming from the elected from the states. So that is how the Lok Sabha composition happens. It comprises of 552 members, of which 2 are nominated by the president, 20 come from union territories, and 530 they are elected from the states. That is how they come to comprise of 552 members. Talking about Rajya Sabha, of the 250 members, 12 are nominated by president. Please remember the difference, do not get confused. In Lok Sabha, 2 are nominated by the president. In the Rajya Sabha, 12 are nominated by the president. These 2 in the Lok Sabha, they come from the Anglo-Indian community, while the 12, they will be comprising of people who have done some distinguished work or exemplary work in different fields like art, science, literature, cinema, music, sports, and so on. Like for example, we see that Sachin Tendulkar, he has done exemplary contribution in the field of sports. He is also a member of Rajya Sabha because he was nominated by president. Rekha, who is a well-known exemplary actor for her contribution in the field of cinema, she is also a member of Rajya Sabha. So we see basically 12 members, they are nominated by the president, who come from various fields having made huge contributions in that field. The remaining 238 members, they come from the states and the union territories. So this is the division how it happens. 552 of Lok Sabha, 2 are nominated, 20 from union territories, and 530 they are the elected by the people. Here the 215 members in Rajya Sabha, 12 are nominated by president, and the 238 they are the representatives of states and the UTs. Now let us talk in detail about the Lok Sabha, Rajya Sabha. We will do a comparison so that you remember in which house, what is the term, what is the duration, how many members, how are they elected. You will easily remember that. Lok Sabha, known as the lower house or the house of the people. Rajya Sabha, or the upper house, or known as the council of states. You can get a question. Which is the upper house of the union parliament? It is the Rajya Sabha. As we have just studied, Lok Sabha has maximum 552 members. At present, it has 545. The Rajya Sabha has maximum 250 members. Lok Sabha, we studied 2 members are nominated by the president. In Rajya Sabha, 12 members are nominated by the president. In the Lok Sabha, this is important, the remaining, we see that 550, they are directly elected by the citizens of the country from the states and the union territories. We directly go and vote. Who win the elections, they go on to become the members of the Lok Sabha. While in the Rajya Sabha, we see 12 are nominated by the president, but the remaining 238, they are not directly elected by the people, but they are indirectly elected by us, because they are the members who are elected by the state legislative assemblies. Now, talking about the number of seats from each state and union territory which finds representation in the Lok Sabha, it depends on the population. That is to say, like Uttar Pradesh has a huge population, it's a larger state, so it has some around 80 seats in the Lok Sabha are given to Uttar Pradesh. Why? Because it's a huge states and large number of people. So 80 representatives from Uttar Pradesh, they go on to become members of Lok Sabha. While a small state like Sikkim, it just has 1 seat in the Lok Sabha. So it all depends on the population of the state or union territories. We know like there are total of 552 seats in Lok Sabha, of which 550 are the elected ones, 2 are the nominated ones. Let's not consider that. 550 are elected from states and union territories, 530 coming from states and 20 coming from union territories. Although there are just 28 states, for 28 states we have 530 seats. So on what basis this division happens? It is based on the population of that state. If a particular state has large population, so more seats will be given to that state, and if it has a small population, smaller number of less number of seats are allocated to that particular state or the union territory. So it is based on the population of the state or union territory that the number of seats are decided in the Lok Sabha. Same goes for the case of Rajya Sabha. The number of seats for each state and union territory depends on the population of that state or the union territory. Now, another important thing, that Lok Sabha, the members of Lok Sabha, they are elected for how long? For a term of 5 years. While for Rajya Sabha, they are elected for a term of 6 years. Now, another major important thing is that we know that the members of Lok Sabha, they are elected for 5 years. They have been elected, they will function for 5 years. But Lok Sabha can be dissolved earlier also. If there is a vote of no confidence passed and the government can fall, if the people are not supporting it anymore, the government can lose support, lose the majority, and so the Lok Sabha can be dissolved even before 5 years. Well, there is also a situation if there is an emergency declared by the president, the Lok Sabha, its tenure can be extended for 1 year. So, although they are elected for 5 years, but sometimes there could be a situation when it is dissolved even before 5 years, while it can sometimes be extended by 1 year by the president in case there is an emergency. While in the case of Rajya Sabha, it never gets dissolved. Lok Sabha can get dissolved. Rajya Sabha never gets dissolved. It is a permanent house. You get a question, which is a permanent house? In the Union Parliament, Rajya Sabha is a permanent house. Why? Because it never gets dissolved. Why it never gets dissolved? Because we see that 1/3 of its members, they retire after every 2 years. So member have been elected. After 2 years, we see 1/3 of the members retire. Then new members are elected. They become a part of it. Then after 2 years, 1/3 of its retire. New members are replaced. So this process goes on, and there is never a point when the house is completely empty. No, after every 2 years, 1/3 will retire, new will come. So it never gets dissolved. While in Lok Sabha, the representatives are elected after the elections for 5 years, then house is dissolved, new elections are held, new people are elected, then for a term of 5 years they become the members. While it can also be dissolved before 5 years, or its duration can be extended in the case of Lok Sabha. So that is one major difference between Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha. Rajya Sabha is a permanent house, it never gets dissolved, while Lok Sabha can be dissolved earlier also. Now, how the elections in the case of Lok Sabha happens? You must have heard that Lok Sabha elections are held after every 5 years. Like last we had in 2014 the elections when PM Modi came to power. Then in 2019, last year, we had the general elections. So these are the elections that happen. The members of Lok Sabha, they are directly elected. How? By the general elections, which happen after every 5 years through this secret ballot. If you have ever got the chance to go with your parents to the voting booth with them to see, you must have seen that the entire country is divided into small constituencies, and there are these voting booth polls which are set up. The region which is close to your place, you go there with your voter ID card, your name must be in the electoral list. You go and cast your vote. There is a separate room or separate hidden place where this machine, secret ballot, is kept, where you go and cast your vote. Nobody can have a look at whom you are voting. It's a completely confidential process, and it's a complete secret process. So it is through general elections, which are held after 5 years, through secret ballot, that the members of the Lok Sabha are elected. The country for this process is divided into constituencies. We see that the first general elections after India got independence in 1947, the first general elections were held in 1951 and 1952. So we see that this is how the Lok Sabha members are elected. People go and vote directly after every 5 years. General elections are held through secret ballot. The people, we directly go and vote, the adults of the country, and that is how the members of Lok Sabha are elected. While in the case of Rajya Sabha, they are elected by the members of the state legislative assembly. So we know that for the members of the Lok Sabha to be elected, the general elections are held after every 5 years. So now after the general elections of Lok Sabha are held, the results are announced. Whichever political party has won the majority of the votes, the leader of that political party is invited by the president to come and formally form the government. So usually we see that after the elections are done, whatever the results will come, whichever political party has gained the maximum votes, the majority of the votes, in that case, the leader of that party will form the government, and usually the leader only goes on to become the prime minister. Like in the previous elections we saw of 2014 and 2019, how BJP government won the majority of the votes and then was invited by the president to form the government, and PM Modi, with the unanimous decision of the political party BJP, was elected as the leader, as the prime minister. While the rest of the political parties who do not attain majority, they form the opposition. They are a part of the Lok Sabha. They will form the opposition parties where they will criticize, question, and seek answers from the government, the ministers of the ruling government, and that is how it works. The party that wins with the majority forms the government, while the rest of the parties, they who do secure a seat in the Lok Sabha, they form the opposition. But in case there is no clear cut majority won by any of the parties, if the votes are so distributed in all the among all the parties that no particular political party has won the majority, in that case two or more parties, they can come up together, join their votes, and declare to form a coalition government. When we see two or more political parties, they come up together and then their votes are added up, and then they can claim majority. In that case, the party now which is formed by mixing of two or more parties is known as the coalition government. In that case, the parties, they among themselves, only when they have some similar ideology, or they come to some kind of compromise among each other to work together, they agree to work together, will they form a coalition government, and then from amongst themselves they decide who is going to be the leader and who they will suggest to become the prime minister. Talking about next eligibility criteria. Say if you want to become a member of Lok Sabha or the Rajya Sabha, you want to contest elections. So what are the requirements that you should be fulfilling? What are the qualifications that you are supposed to have? So in order to become an MP or the member of parliament, those who are member of Lok Sabha or the Rajya Sabha, they are referred to as MPs, member of parliament. First thing is you should be a citizen of India. Now, if you're not a citizen of India, you cannot come and contest elections here. No, you have to be a citizen of India. Then there's only one difference in the criteria to contest elections for Lok Sabha or the Rajya Sabha. For Lok Sabha, you have to be 25 years or above. For Rajya Sabha, you have to be 30 years or above. That is the requirement. Rest all requirements are same for both Lok Sabha and the Rajya Sabha. You should be mentally sound. You should not be mentally retarded. You should not be mad or suffering from some mental disease. You should be mentally sound. You should not be a proclaimed offender. You should not be a criminal. You should not hold any office of profit under the government. You should not hold any government job. If you have to contest elections, you cannot be holding any government job. Then you should have a name in the electoral list in any part of the country. Now, since we know that this Lok Sabha is a part of the union government, so you can have your name in any part of the country, in any, say in Sikkim, say in Uttar Pradesh, say in Tamil Nadu, in any region, wherever you are a resident, you could be enrolled in the electoral list. You could be having ID card of whatever region of the country. Your name could be in the electoral list, and you are eligible to participate in the elections of the Lok Sabha or the Rajya Sabha. So these are the requirements. Now talking about speaker. Who is the speaker? So we see that Lok Sabha and the Rajya Sabha, they are the two houses of the parliament. Now for Lok Sabha, when all the members have been elected, they assemble together at one place where all the discussion will be done. Okay, new policies, new laws have to be made and all. So they all assemble together, all the members. Now for them to function properly, there has to be one head to manage all the things there. Like for example, in the class, when the teacher is not there, there are monitors appointed. So they can manage the class. They are elected from amongst you all only. There will be a monitor who would be asked to maintain the discipline. Same way, in the Lok Sabha, we have one presiding officer who is the speaker. Speaker is the presiding officer of the Lok Sabha. He is elected by the members of the house from amongst themselves only. They elect one member who gets the majority. He will be elected as the presiding officer. And there is also a deputy speaker elected in case the speaker is absent, not well, or due to something he is unable to come. So there is a deputy speaker who will take over the charge when the speaker is absent. He is also elected from the members of the house. Now what are these presiding officers or the speaker supposed to do in the house? He has to carry out all the proceedings of the house. So for a law to be passed in the legislature, law making process, whatever discussions, whatever questioning, answering, presenting of the law has to be, whatever process has to be done, it is all carried out by the speaker in a proper way. Then maintaining the discipline of the house, the speaker has to ensure that everything happens in an orderly manner. There is no chaos in the house, so people are behaving properly and everything is happening in an organized way, in a disciplined way. Then the speaker also has to ensure impartially conducting the business of the house. Now we see that the speaker is elected from amongst their members only. So it is usually that the speaker belongs to the ruling party only, because the ruling party has the majority in the Lok Sabha. So the speaker usually belongs to the the ruling party. So he has to ensure that he does any favoritism to them, that he is favoring the ruling party or whichever party he belongs to, and to the other people he is being impartial. Just like the case of your the example of your class, if there is a monitor, he is not supposed to be partial towards his friends. He is favoring them and he is being impartial to the rest of the class. No, he has to work impartially. Same way the speaker has to work impartially in the house and carry out all the business properly. We see that Ganesh V. Mavalankar was the first speaker. At present, who is the speaker of the Lok Sabha? Om Birla is the speaker of the Lok Sabha. So you should be clear who is the presiding officer of the Lok Sabha. It is the speaker. He is elected from his own members. These are the functions that he has to perform. In his absence, who takes over? It is the deputy speaker. Then talking about ex officio chairman, though it is not given in your book, but you must have a slight idea. Just like we have a presiding officer in the Lok Sabha, we also have a presiding officer in the Rajya Sabha, who is known as the ex officio chairman. Who is this person? It is the Vice President of India who acts as the presiding officer of the Rajya Sabha. Who is the Vice President of India? Venkaiah Naidu. So he is at presently the presiding officer of the Rajya Sabha. Then we see what is his job. His job is the same as that of the Lok Sabha. He has to carry out the proceedings, maintain the discipline, manage the affairs of the Rajya Sabha. In case the Vice President is not available, that is the ex officio chairman is not there, in that case there is a deputy chairman who is elected from amongst the members only. So he is the deputy chairman who will carry out the functions in case the ex officio chairman of the Rajya Sabha is not there. So who is the presiding officer of the Lok Sabha? It is the speaker. Who is the presiding officer of the Rajya Sabha? It is the vice president who acts as the ex officio chairman. I hope this part is clear to you.